Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to the Nautilus. Before I begin, I want to let you know that after this video, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off to enjoy the summer here. So you'll have to wait a couple of weeks for this series and for Toy Box tutorials to resume. But even though this channel will be quiet, I have uploaded all of the scheduled videos for July on the Disney Infinity Archive project. So you'll have lots of new stuff to watch there every day while I'm gone, including all of the Lost developer tutorials for 2.0 and a lot of rare 2.0 trailers and some Lost 2.0 trailers, and of course daily episodes of Toy Box TV. So I have plenty of content for you to enjoy while I'm gone. But for now, let's get back to this video. So last time, I built some sloped terrain for the underwater level of my Toy Box adventure, and it filled up most of my remaining memory. And after I finished recording my previous video, I dropped a gear collectible and an enemy into the Toy Box, and those two things alone took up the rest of the memory. And I realized I was in trouble, because I don't think I had enough memory left for the logic that I needed to implement, let alone add any plants or decorations or building pieces to try to fill all of the empty terrain. But one of my viewers, Adam Star Wars fan, suggested that I might try removing a few sections of the interior to try to reclaim some memory, such as the crew quarters or the galley. And so before I started recording this video, I tried that. I took out the crew quarters first, because there really isn't much to see or do in that part of the ship anyway. And after I took that section out, I sealed off each of the hallways outside of the chart room that led to the crew quarters. And here is what that looks like now. So if we come through here, you can see that's sealed off. And same thing on the other side. That part of the ship is now sealed off. And taking out the crew quarters did reclaim some memory. Not a lot, but some. I have not taken out the galley yet, but I don't think that would reclaim very much memory, so I'm going to try to leave that in for now. We will see how this goes. But either way, I still don't have enough memory in my underwater level for both enemies and beautiful scenery. Enemies take up a lot of memory, and so that forces me to make a choice. I can either use the extra memory I have reclaimed to make my underwater area look better and forego the use of any enemies, or I can focus on combat and make sure I leave enough free memory to include some enemies and leave the outdoor underwater area mostly flat and empty, with just a very few plants and decorations. And as you might imagine, I was not happy with that choice. So what I chose to do for this level was focus on scenery. And I felt that was important for the first time that we submerged the submarine to wow the player. And so I kept the lower slopes that I had built last time for the underwater terrain, and rather than put the upper slopes back in, I chose to fill that space with some extra coral and a couple of more shipwrecks to create some points of interest, because reusing models that I've already loaded into memory actually takes up less memory than loading something new in. So as you can see, the view out the windows now looks pretty interesting, and I think that's a good thing. So now, as I said, when we come in here to the Grand Salon and we look out the windows, that makes it worthwhile, because this is one of the things I really wanted most with my Nautilus, was to be able to look out the window in the submarine and see a lot of really cool things outside of the viewport there. And because the view looks visually interesting, it invites the player to exit the ship and explore. And so that's going to be the theme of this second level in my Toy Box adventure. The player's goal in this level is going to be to explore the ship and the sea floor to find the parts needed to fix the Nautilus. and it's going to be a relaxing and stress-free experience for this part of the adventure. But of course, if you're on a system with more memory, feel free to add a few enemy wave generators here and there if you want. But since I can't do that, I'm going to focus on the ship repair quest. But before I do that, let me show you what I have done, now that we've kind of seen the view out the window here. So again, you'll see I kept the lower slopes that I added here. And this is the shipwreck over here that I had added last time. And as I said, since I already had this model loaded in memory, I added another one up here and another one down there, which creates a few points of interest here around the sub to come and explore. And I think that's kind of necessary because it's still kind of empty. I did add some extra plant clusters here. And again, these are the first 9 pieces out of the plants drawer. And I styled them to use the Morro Bay theme. I did not use a lot of them, but I was able to spread them around to create some additional points of interest. And it doesn't matter exactly, if you're trying to recreate this on your system, it doesn't matter if you put these in the exact same places that I have them. Just spread them around a little bit. That's the main thing. And I put one up here. This is Fantasy Terrain 3, styled for Morro Bay. I placed these items down here. These two are decorations from the decorations drawer. They came with the Finding Dory playset. If you don't have that playset, or if you're on a PC, you could use the Marlin's Reef Power Disc theme. And of course, if you don't have that power disc, you can use the toy dispenser to try to get it. Just be aware that once you do get it, you'll need to restyle all of the terrain pieces for the floors inside the Nautilus. And of course, make sure you put down all of your plant clusters first before you use the toy dispenser, because once you pull that theme out of the toy dispenser, it will change only the existing plant clusters that you already have. So you want to make sure you have those down first. But yeah, I created a little thing here, and these two things are what you really notice from the window, the viewport up there. I put a few little clusters over here of some coral. This is Fantasy Terrain 4, styled for Morro Bay. That just creates a nice little grassy thing to spread around. A little bit more coral there. Of course, here's the wreck over here, and another piece of coral. And so that's what I put in. And I think even though it's kind of empty, it still looks really good. This just looks amazing, being able to see the ship everywhere you go out here. And of course, inside the ship, looking out the viewport, that just looks phenomenal too. So I like that. Of course, the big question here, though, is how much memory do I have left? And as I come out of Spark mode, you'll see it's kind of full, but it's not too bad. If I'm not using enemies, I think I can get away with what I have left for what I want to do. And if I can't, then I think I might be close, and I may be able to get the memory that I need if I come in here to the galley, and I take the galley out with all of these interior pieces that are only used here, and I put a sealed door here in front of this. And I can leave the galley and the crew quarters in place for the first level of this toy box. We'll just close the doors on those areas for this part of the build. But I think I have what I need. And so let's go ahead and start working on the logic for the mission. And let's see how much the creativitoys that I need uses up. So let's start. We know we're going to need a toy box door to get to the next part of the mission. So if we drop that, That memory meter did not go up much. That is really good. I'm happy with that. We're going to use the gear collectible, and I'm just going to use one type of collectible here to try to save memory. And ideally, I would like to try to randomly place these around the toy box. So I'm going to see if I have the memory for that. So I'm not going to put that down directly just yet. All right, let's go to the right, and we're going to pick out the toys we need as we go. And so one of the first things we are going to need, I think I'm going to use the Action Enforcer. This will be one of the celebration toys at the end when we get the ship working. We're not using the wave generators. I think we may need some radar markers, but let's just go without those for right now and see how this goes. We're going to need a text displayer. I want to try to use a few replayers. Ooh, that took a jump in memory. And I'm going to try 5 of them, ideally, here. And I'm going to need 2 logic gates. We're going to put one over in front of this door. And I think the other one, let's just drop this over here for right now. And we're going to need our randomizer to pick the replayer we want to use. The memory is creeping up. Let's see. We're going to need a level starter. We're going to need a collectible tracker. And we'll put this over here next to this logic gate. And I think that's everything we need. Let me just double check here. All right, so we have our level starter, randomizer, replayers. We have this logic gate. Oh, we're going to need a trigger area. I kind of mapped out ahead of time what I'm going to need. And this is going to go up in the wheelhouse around the ship's wheel. Okay, we'll pick that up and move it. All right. So there is our trigger area. Selecting that might be a little bit of a chore, but okay. And then we already have our switches inside the sub here. All right, so when the player gets in here, if they try to grab the ship's wheel, we want to let them know they can't do that right now. So let's see. Trigger area, good. So new logic connection when entered by player Annie. I want to try to feed into this logic gate here to trigger the door change. So we will attempt to input into that gate. And I want that to be closed by default. So for our level starter, we'll do a new logic connection on catalyze. We'll close that gate. And I might need a button here to set all of these initial states. So new logic connection when pressed. We'll start. Okay. And on output from this gate, we will trigger the door change if we can. If the gate is closed, then we'll do a new logic connection on the logic gate. If the input is blocked, we'll come over to our text displayer go down to the negative category. And we'll say not right now. And we'll set the properties on this to be texturation 4 seconds. Style will be banner. Okay. Just realized I'm also going to need a sound generator. I'm kind of figuring the logic out here as I go on the fly. So this is not going to be quite as smooth as some of the other series that I've done where I've already figured out how everything works. All right, we need to turn off 3D sound at speaker or locator, so we did that. How are we doing on memory? It's getting up there. It's getting up there. Okay, yeah, so we're going to try to input into that. We're not going to be able to initially. Okay, I think the next part of this will be this other logic gate over here. We're going to tie that to the switch that is in the engineering compartment. So if we come down into the engine room, that will be this switch right here, which I think we put down last time or time before. So on this switch, new logic connection, when this is pulled down, we're going to attempt to input into this gate. And again, I want that gate closed by default. So on our level starter, new logic connection on catalyze, close the gate. And coming out of this gate, new logic connection on input blocked. So if the gate's closed, come over to the text displayer, and under the defense category, we'll say what we did in the other toy box. We are out of resources. And there's going to be radar markers for the collectibles, so that should lead them to the resources they need. All right, speaking of which, on the collectible tracker, let's set the property for that. So we're going to use the gear collectible. And we want to show them on the radar. Okay, yeah, so there we go. All right, so when the player picks up all of the collectibles, then what the collectible tracker will do, we'll do a new logic connection when the final collectible is collected. We are going to open this logic gate. And so we did the input blocked. So on this logic gate, a new logic connection on output. What we're going to do is have this come over and open this logic gate. All right, so initially both logic gates are closed. And the level starter is going to do that for us. And so if we try to use the ship's wheel, it's not going to work. If we try to pull that switch in the engineering compartment, that's not going to work. And so what we're going to have to do is look for those gear collectibles and pick them all up. And when we pick up the last one, that will open up this logic gate. And so the switch that's in the engineering compartment will now work. And so we pull that switch. That will input into this gate, which can now come over and open this gate, which means we can now go up to the ship's wheel and use that to go to the next area. So that's the plan. And as I'm talking about that, I'm realizing I'm probably going to need a couple of radar markers here. So let's come up here and grab 2 locators and 2 radar markers. And I'm watching that memory creeping up. And I'm realizing that when I put those collectibles in, that is going to be dangerously close to being full. So new logic connection. Nope, not in there. New locator connection. We're going to connect that up to this locator. We'll connect this radar marker up to the other locator. We're going to set both of these up in their properties the same way. So the beacon type will be a yellow arrow. Beacon location will be the connected locator. And it's going to be off by default. And we'll set this one the same way. Beacon type yellow arrow. Location, locator. Alright, I'm going to move this toy over here with the other ones for the switch in the engine compartment. And we will move this locator up into the engine compartment. And I want to put this right here in front of that. We'll move this one back here. We'll move the locator here up into the wheelhouse. And we'll put that right in front of the ship's wheel. Okay. Okay. So, on the collectible tracker, when we pick up the final gear, we'll do a new logic connection. When the final collectible is collected, we're going to turn that radar marker on and activate it. That will guide the player up to that switch. And when they pull down on the switch, that comes into the logic gate. So on output from the logic gate, we can turn off that radar marker. And we can turn on the other one. And that will lead them up to the wheelhouse. So after they pull the switch in the engineering compartment and the engines are restarted, then that takes them up to the wheelhouse where they will go and enter that trigger area and invoke the toy box change. And by the way, the other thing I want to do is when they do restart those engines, let's have them celebrate. So on output from the logic gate here, come over to the action enforcer, have all the players celebrate. And on output from the logic gate, I'll do my standard end of mission flourish, which is musical fanfare. Alright, and that is everything except for the collectibles. And again, I would love to use these replayers and try to do this randomly. But I am looking at my memory meter, and I'm thinking I'm going to need to take that galley out, which I am not crazy about, but I need the memory. So we'll go ahead and just close this room off. So I'm going to delete these interior toys. And take this ceiling piece out. I don't think there's anything else in this little room. Doesn't look like it. And then we just need to seal this door. How are we looking on memory now? It dropped down a little bit. Yeah, I didn't think that would reclaim a lot, but that may be enough. Actually, thinking, do we use these wall pieces here? I don't think we do. That's not part of the exterior. That wall is not used as part of the exterior. So taking those things out is good. Alright, so now we can put in a couple of short wall pieces here for a door. And let's see what texture would look good for a door in a submarine. Probably not one that we're going to have available to us in here. Nothing that's going to look like the movie, but that tends to look like a portable type of thing, a movable type of thing. So that seals that off. And it may be that once we save the toy box and leave it and reload it, sometimes when you remove toys, it doesn't always show up on the memory meter. So we may actually have a little bit more there than what we have to work with. I'm curious now, though, if we take the gear collectible and we put that in, I know that's going to take a jump in memory. I'm just not sure how much. I'm not sure if it would have been faster to go the other way or not. Kind of a long drawer. Alright, we're coming up. Here we go. Alright, so if we go and drop this in, watching that memory meter, I think we're going to be okay. Let's go ahead and take that out. Alright, so on each of these replayers, I'm going to set the properties to take the playback interval to 0. So I want these to play back as fast as they can. Not that I suppose it's going to matter, because these are going to get replayed at the start of the level. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're getting up there. Well, I think since this is going to be the last video for me for a couple of weeks, I'll go ahead and go over a little bit and finish this up. Okay, so we step on the first replayer, start recording, step off, and I think I want to place 5 or 6 of these around the toy box in different places. So that, let's see, is it going to let me put this up here on the deck? No. That's a bummer. It would have been nice if it were a little smarter and I could place it inside the ship or something. I guess one thing I could do is maybe place it off of the end of it here. Make them have to jump for it. Alright, so we'll do that. And then, this is going to take a while, so we'll put another one over here behind this reef. That's 2. And the third one, just kind of drop it over here, I guess. We'll spread a few of these out. Okay. So 3 outside, 3 inside. How does that sound? So the third one, I think I'll put this inside the vault here. That makes 4. And we'll put one there, and we'll put one tuck it in back here. Okay. How does the memory look now with that? That's not bad. Okay, so now we will step on the replayer, stop recording, A to clear. Next replayer. Start recording, step off. We'll put 6 more of these, but we're going to put them in different locations this time. So for this one, let's try putting this one over here. And we'll place one out over this way. Tuck it back here out of sight a little bit. And another one maybe down over here. And then 3 in the ship. Let's see, we'll put one inside the captain's quarters. We'll hide one up there. And then for the last one, let's put that one towards the back of the ship. We want to spread these around the ship so that they have to look around to find them. Because part of the whole fun of this level is going to be exploring the ship. Okay. Stop recording and clear. Third one. Start recording. This time, we'll put one over this way. Yeah, I really wish we could could place one up here. Some of the toys that they've got, the set pieces and stuff, are pretty smart as far as boundaries and things. And then there's others, like these, that aren't so smart. Alright, so I think that was the first one. This one, let's kind of place this around back over here. We don't necessarily want them to be visible from the ship. And the third one for outside. Stash that back over here. Now for inside the ship this time, let's place one in this upper area here. We'll place another one like maybe there. And we need one on the lower level somewhere. Now they're going to be coming through here to get to the outdoor area, so we don't want to make it too obvious here. Let's stick this one, oh hey, right down there. I like that. Okay. So you can see by putting them in different places, it's not going to be as predictable. And I think that's going to be good for replayability. Alright, stop recording, A to clear. This is what's taking the most time, is just placing all of these collectibles. Once we're done with that, hooking them up is going to be real simple because we're basically just about done with the logic. Alright, so for this one, we'll stash this one back here. Find that coral. I think this time we're going to avoid the ships altogether. We'll place one. I think we already did that once. We placed one down over there. Let's put one over here. And this time we will put one back over here. And then inside the ship, let's see, where have we not put one yet? We can always reuse spaces too, I suppose. Let's see, I'm thinking we can put one in the power compartment. We haven't done that yet. If I can find the power compartment, here we go. Yeah, we can kind of hide that right in here. That's good. Let's stash another one in here. We'll put it over on the other side of that ballast room. And for the third one, we'll tuck that one in this hallway. Alright, and one more to go. I know this probably isn't very exciting to watch, but for those of you who are recreating this, you're probably going to want to see where I put all of mine. Even if you don't end up placing them exactly where I put mine, it gives you some ideas of where to put them. Okay, start recording. This time, I think we will set one out here just in the open, kinda. It'd be kind of fun, actually, to put one up here somewhere, but I don't know how the player would get up there. So that wouldn't be a good idea. And we'll place one down here again. Now, if you're on a system with a little bit more memory, you could use some additional replayers and put down some additional choices. I think that would be a good idea. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. I think I'm kind of pushing it as it is. I don't think there's any way for the player to climb up here or anything either. So putting one up there isn't going to be a good idea. But I would love to have put one on top of the ship deck there and have the player have to climb up there to get it. Alright, so there's the 3 for outdoors. Let's put another one up in the Grand Salon. So where could we stick one in here? Let's see. Oh, we can maybe stash it down over here. That would be kind of cool. Oh, we got another vent up there we got to close too. Forgot about that one. Place one there. I don't think it's going to let me place one down here. Oh yeah, it will. Okay, there we go. So there's all of my choices for where to place these things. So now we'll stop recording. Press A to clear. All right. On the level starter, a new logic connection. On catalyze, we invoke the randomizer. On the randomizer, new logic connection on random trigger 1, we'll play back this replayer. That will put those set of gears out there. On random trigger 2, we'll play back that replayer. Random trigger 3, we'll do the one in the middle. Random trigger 4, we'll do this one. And random trigger 5, we'll do the one on the end. And you got 5 more random triggers there, so as I said, if you want a system with more memory, you can put down up to 5 more replayers, place those things in other places, or maybe use a different combination of places from these other ones. Have this invoke random trigger signals 6 through 10 to invoke those guys. And you'll have more options, which would be good. All right, at this point, I think we are pretty much done. Oh, one more thing I want to do. We're going to have our button up here. Somebody pointed out that it's not probably a good idea to push that button. I think it was JetBlast 190. Said it's not going to be a good idea to push that button in the middle of the quest here and surface the ship. So I think what we're going to do instead is if they try to push that button after they have submerged, we're going to tell them they can't do that right now. So it's a one-way trip for this adventure. All right. Now before we test this out, I want to save my game. And so we're going to come in here. And the file I'm working with that I loaded up today was Nautilus 2. I'm going to go down to number 3 as my backup, and we're going to overwrite that one. But before we do that, I want to change my level name, because when we load the toy box and we're up at the ocean level and I push the button, it says travel to Nautilus, which I don't care for. So we're going to use a different name for this, and we're going to call it Dead Man's Reef. I think that's more of an interesting name for this underwater area. All right, so we'll save our toy box. And then we'll try this out and we'll be done. Always a good idea to save your toy box before you try out your logic, just in case you messed something up. You don't want to leave it in a weird state where if I try to save it after I test it and it's in some weird state and I go to save it, I leave it in a state that's unusable. Then you got to redo all your work, which isn't good. Alright, so first thing we'll do is push the button. This will kick off the level starter. And that places 6 collectibles around on the ocean floor. Alright, so when we enter the toy box up here in the wheelhouse, since I want to test everything, let's start up here. Okay, so we're here. It says not right now, so I can't use the ship. Alright, so there's the first gear. Here's the second gear. That's the replayer it invoked this time. Still got to put the hatch in there. So we still have a little bit of work to do yet. Okay. And no, by the way, I'm not remembering where I placed these. I'm using the radar marker to try to help me find them. Oh, by the way, let's test our switch here. You're out of resources. Either sell back a trap you placed or start the next wave. Oh, that's helpful to know. We may have to pick a different message there. Alright, let's head outside. I forgot that out of resources message was a little bit too descriptive. And there was more there than just out of resources. So I'll have to come up with another message to use. Alright, just to save time, let's go into Spark mode. So all I want to do is test out the logic here. I'm not really playing this to enjoy the scenery. I'm playing this to test it out. At least placing that one up there means I had to climb the ship here a little bit in order to get to that thing. So that's good. Alright, so now we have all the collectibles. There's now a radar marker over here. So we're heading back to the ship. We've got all the parts we need. We have our radar marker here. He doesn't do much in the way of celebrating when he's hanging on that thing, does he? Okay, so now we got another radar marker. This one should be up in the wheelhouse. So now we fixed the ship. We could jump on that thing and close the hatch if I had implemented that, which I haven't yet. Come up here. Come up here. And now we can take the ship where it needs to go. You notice we're not getting our message not right now, which means the logic gate is open. I just haven't connected it to the toy box door at this point, which would turn off that radar marker and trigger the toy box change. But that should give you an idea of how it works. But we are way out of time, so that is all for me today. Next time, I will wrap up the logic for this level, and then we'll start working on the third level for this toy box adventure. When Jack repairs the ship and takes the wheel, the Nautilus will take him to the next location where he's going to find Davy Jones. Thank you for watching. Before you go, leave a comment and let me know what you think of my underwater area and my choice to focus on scenery rather than combat. I'd love to hear from you. And be sure to like and subscribe for more toy box designs like this. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you again in a couple of weeks.